So it still comes down to, for me, it's the storytelling aspect of it. It's like, how good of a story can I tell that then you want to buy the product that I have? So that's fun for me. But I also think it's maybe because I don't actually think of myself as an artist that much. I think of myself as an entrepreneur, business person. My businesses are all art related.
Now, for your book, people may not realize this, but you did have to get permission from the Pentagon for the book, right? I mean, when I permission, it's about how hard or easy was you to get like quote unquote permission for stuff in the book from the Pentagon?
So, in case folks don't know, if you've ever worked for the DoD and you are going to write about the military at all, even fiction, you're supposed to submit your book to the Pentagon to be reviewed. It is not at all supposed to be a content check or getting permission. It is literally supposed to be, you can't publish this because you have to change this because this is secret. Mm-hmm. So they asked me to change 3 words in the book. Of course, I can't say what those are. It was nerve-wracking because we knew this was the first kind of very critical of military book by a woman going into the mass market. It took... The other thing is they will not give you a timeline. They quite simply do not care. They're like, we'll get to it when we get to it, we'll get to it when we get to it. And that's not how publishing works. So while it probably only took them about 6 weeks to get to it, it was scary. What I will say is that this time around, I've decided to not submit the book to the Pentagon because under the last administration, I trusted that the process would go through, right? Even if they're pissed off about it, there's nothing they can do. They're just going to let it go. And this time I decided, you know what? The odds that the President of the United States ever knows about my book are pretty small, but I don't want to give them a head. I don't trust the process this time as much, unfortunately.
So how much harder was writing the second book versus the first book?
Oh, different. It was harder. Well, it was physically harder, but emotionally easier, if that makes sense. So the second book, Cultured America, is a research book. I wrote it basically publicly on TikTok, crowdsourced. People kept asking when I was going to be ready, and my answer kept being like, I'm writing as fast as you can write 13 research papers that nobody's making you write. And then that way, just buckling down and doing the thing was hard. Uncultured was bleeding my soul onto the page. I lost 30 pounds writing that book. Like, it was really, really emotionally hard. Actually, the next one that I need to write, Un-American, which is like, Uncultured is the hero's journey. Un-American is the anti-hero's journey, where I'm examining whiteness and power and privilege. And I am a really happy part of my life, and I'm not looking forward to like how hard that is. You know, like you can write other kinds of books without putting your whole soul into it, but not a memoir.
So what's your advice? What's your advice to someone who's like the only person, only woman in the room, only black person in the room, only blank in the room? What's your advice to that person?
Partially, the advice is you're never going to win at a game that was intended for you to not win. So maybe like part of my process of being successful as the only woman in the room was deciding that I didn't want to do that anymore, you know, to be in rooms full of women, and that was going to be better for me. But I also just think, you know, don't let them get you down, but also understand that you can't just be better than everyone else all the time, and like how much that takes out of your soul. So you're gonna be the only woman in the room, the only black person in the room, the only whatever of your demographic you are in the room. Like where do you have outside of that room where you find community and rest and joy? Because you have to getting it from somewhere.
No.
I think a huge part of what made the military so challenging, especially a woman officer, was just not having, you know, I really needed to have like a strong community of super supportive women around me, and I didn't.
Yeah. And
that's what I think is what wounded my soul so very much.
But any entrepreneurs out there?
Don't listen to people that say it can't be done, honestly. That's my biggest piece of advice. Like, I said, I'm going to write the next Educated. Everyone laughed. 4 years later, I wrote the next big Macmillan book that says "In the Vein of Educated." And 2 months ago, somebody sold their huge Simon and Schuster book, and their book sold as "In the Vein of Uncultured and Educated." I didn't sell 4 million copies. I didn't, actually, Jeanette McCarty's "I'm Glad My Dad" was the next Educated, but I still made a really good product. And so my advice there is just like, don't listen to people saying that you can't do it. Don't listen to negative advice from people who haven't done the thing you're trying to do.
What's your definition of success? Like, what's your personal definition of success for you?
I wanted to spend the rest of my life knitting and reading books and writing books and traveling with my family. And I've gotten there. Like, honestly, with this next book, I feel like I'm done if I want to be done. I don't have to put out more things. I think I will be able to keep making enough money that I can do the things I want. But I don't. One of the things I've had to learn about myself is I get too addicted to having a big mission. And so I kind of am like, especially the fact that my work does help so many people, I always have to kind of go smaller and just say, like, my mission, my definition of success is that Tom and Daniela and little Love Young have a good life. Like, we are happy enough. It's great that my work helps other people, but I really just want to be happy.
Nice. So next, let's go to your website, your book. So just tell me what to point to, and you just talk through it if you want to.
Yeah, so this is the new book, The Culting of America. What makes a cult and why we love them. I'll read the last part. Whether you're part of a church, company, fandom, or political movement, the question isn't if you're in a cult. It's how much of yourself you've already lost. And what I'm really trying to do with this book is break down what makes a cult, those 10 parts we analyzed earlier, but then show it to you in cults, in the military, and in regular organizations. So we've got that book, and we have, if you scroll down the packages below, nope, let's scroll back up. Going to show how I don't know my website. Click on pre-order right here.
Right here.
These are my packages. Nope. What am I doing? Go to knitting patterns. So this is one of my little products. They kept begging for patterns, and so I made a little digital culty knitting pattern book. Okay, and click on Knitting Cult Store. There we go. These are just all of my different products that you can buy. And so this is, like, you see, I have all these shirts. I call them disrespectful t-shirts. I've got things you can buy, other people's books, etc. Click on the one that says book up there. Uncultured. That's where you can buy my book now. And quite frankly, I have all these very cool...
These editorial reviews, how's that work? Like, do they reach out to you, say, we're not ready to give you a review, or you reach out to them? How's editorial reviews work?
So, yeah, because I went through the big publishing process, like, they were the ones that reached out to most of this, and they already have those relationships in there. I will tell you, every single of hundreds of podcasts and shows that I did, they all said, come back when you have Culting of America. So now we're going back all of those and talking to them.
And the book for pre-sale right now, right?
Yes. So it comes out January 20th. It is just now in production. I really just finished writing it in May.
Oh. And like, how does pre-sale work? Is it like a waiting list?
So pre-sale is a really big thing in traditional publishing because it's all about trying to make the New York Times. And the New York Times is all about how many sell in a week. So pre-sales gives you, it's usually 6 months to get orders, but then they all hit on that first Tuesday when your book comes out. Indie publishing, you don't usually have an opportunity for that, but people have been literally begging me to open pre-sales this book for the past 2.5 years. So they're fine there now.
How do you figure out the pricing? How do people figure out what to charge for the book?
I mean, it is usually based on weight, right? It has a lot to do with like how, so it was a thing with Uncultured that they were hoping for it to be a bit shorter. So it could be a book that sold $24.99, but because it turned out to be so long, they sold it for $28.99. We do in higher pricing for an e-book, but that's also because most of them are signed. So there's an additional element there. And then that's also been true for how I sell my own copies of Uncultured. Like you can get it for much cheaper other places, but most I sell are signed. And that's how we figured out that pricing.
So from both books, writing both books, what have you learned about yourself?
Everything. I've learned that I'm pretty good at books.
Yeah.
I have the whole idea for the process, and so one of the things I've learned is I give myself time off from basically Thanksgiving to New Year's to do nothing but read vampire and witch books and like not try to think too heavily. And then pretty much every January, I just have a huge new idea for like the next thing I want to create.